Hello YouTube, it's the Media Preacher back with another video, and this video is kind of an update because I've released I think 2 videos so far where I revisited old songs, and I've tried to record those old songs on doorless equipment. So I've used the Tascam Model 12 on a song called Demon in the Closet, and then I used an old Boss multi-track recorder on the first song I ever wrote when I was 17 called Ripped Apart. Part of the reason I revisited those songs was because I found my old university folder, which my dad had kept safe for me at home and then passed on to me a few years ago. I'd sort of put it into a pile and hadn't really looked at it, but I knew that I had a record of most of my old songs in this folder. And so prior to recording those videos, I'd sort of looked through it. And what I realised is that in this folder, I have effectively created or curated a record of everything that I wrote from about 1997 to approximately 2002, 2003. And there is song after song after song after song listed. And I got to the point where I was even, notating the songs on stave. I've got also guitar tabs for different lead parts that I'd written. I mean, I was meticulous about this, and it's really interesting to revisit some of these songs. So what I've decided to do after looking through this, and particularly after receiving really great feedback in the comments on the tracks that I've released so far, I've decided that it's time to revisit these songs and to try and record them with the knowledge and the technology that I now have at my disposal. I say knowledge in technology because having technology is one thing, but if you've got all the gear and no idea, frankly, you're not going to get very far. But because I've now been sort of using home recording techniques for about the last 20 years, I feel like I've learned a lot from when I originally tried to record these songs. I should probably explain what happened with the songs originally. After I left university, part of the reason I'm using this folder is because I decided I was going to record the songs on my Tascam 4-track and on the Boss BR8 digital multi-track recorder. And I was going to try and send those songs off to record companies and get a record deal. So I spent months and months and months working on this CD. And I was going to send out this demo CD. I used a Zoom drum machine, having no idea how to program drums. I was literally just bashing beats out of it. I liked the sound of the toms, so I'd overuse the toms. I didn't understand kick, snare on 2 and 4. I didn't understand anything about the drums at all. I also didn't really know how to play the bass guitar. I only really knew how to play the guitar, so I sort of fudged my way around that. I didn't understand arrangement in any way, shape or form, so all the songs were sort of bashed out with an acoustic guitar, and then I'd try and layer things on top of other parts and they would sound confused and busy. But I got so close to the recording I didn't realise it wasn't very good. And so I was sending it out to record companies, and I have somewhere in here, if I can find it, the rejection letters from numerous record companies. This one's from Sony, writing not just here's my CD, I was also trying to get a position in the company. This one's saying sorry, we don't have any positions in the company, surprisingly. Certainly not after listening to your CD, because it was terrible. And I didn't realise the CD was terrible because I was too close to it. And I was too blinded by my own sort of ego and my own sense of entitlement, I suppose, in many respects, to I've worked on this, so it should be good. Even though I haven't put the work in to knowing how to record and how to arrange, and I didn't even understand that I had to put work in for that, I don't think, in truth. But I took this CD round to my friend Andrew's house, and I put it into the CD player, and we were listening to the first track. And he looked at me over his glasses, and he said to me, I can see him now, he said, "Sounds very 80s." And I knew what he meant as soon as he said it, because the drums were really badly programmed. They were dominating every track. They sounded absolutely terrible. They ruined everything I did, to be honest. Even the stuff that was good was ruined by these drums. And as he said this to me, I realised that my months and months of work was for nothing, because I'd produced a substandard recording. I don't think it was the songs. I think the songs, there's some good ideas in a lot of the songs, but as I say, the way that I recorded them, thinking that I had a studio at my disposal and thinking that I could produce big arrangements, was completely deluded. And it's such a shame because even the covers, I went to great extremes to do good covers. And back then, we didn't have all the the bells and whistles. Well, I think you could get like Photoshop, but I didn't know how to use it. So what I did was I just took photographs. I don't know if you can see this. I took photographs, which I then put onto a piece of A4 paper. On top of that A4 paper, I then put clear overhead projector, I don't know if you can see that I had my name printed on. And I would then sort of line that up so that I could use this master essentially to put into a colour photocopier and run off copies of my cover. And the cover, you can see how long my hair was back then, the cover was actually a lot better than the music, which is really, really, really a shame. It was a bit stuck together now, but you can see all the back. I mean, I put a lot of effort into this, and it's, it says a lot when the cover came out a lot better than the actual music did. I was deluded, but I realised, as I say, when I spoke to my friend that day, that this was absolutely terrible. This CD, and it wasn't going to be accepted by anybody because it simply wasn't good enough. And I'd also had some pen friends in America and in Canada that we'd sort of started talking to, myself and my sister, through various forums. And I sent them the CD, because a lot of us were aspiring musicians. And I've got letters here, pages and pages from people actually who bothered to listen to the CD that I'd sent them. And then have sent me like notes on the CD. And they're trying to be really kind. But effectively, they're saying that the drums are completely terrible on these recordings in the nicest possible way. And they were absolutely right. And the recording was terrible. And it really I think it hurt my confidence for a long time, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I didn't think that I delivered, and I hadn't delivered on what I thought I could deliver. So finding this folder and looking at the songs in a new light over 20 years later is quite an interesting thing to have done, because looking at the songs, I think some of them are really, really good and they're really interesting. Some of them are story songs. A lot of them are story songs, actually. Some of them are autobiographical songs, thinking about where I'm going. And when I'm looking at those songs, there's a song called Higher Plane that's really me saying, what am I going to do? I know I'm going to do something, but I'm not sure what it is. And when I look at that song and listen to the old recording of it, it's like talking to the 17-year-old version of myself. There's a song called Industry that I wrote. It's a story, so completely a story song. It's about, someone being made redundant and having a family to look after. And that song really, I think, came about because my dad had been made redundant and had us to look after. And so my dad was sort of the character, I guess, in that story. There's a song called Down in Soho that I wrote. It's one of my very, very early songs. And again, that was a story song that was, I think it came from, we'd been on like a school trip or a college trip to London. And we'd actually been around Leicester Square and all these, things going on. I was exposed to all this new stuff in London that I'd never seen before. And so that sort of germinated an idea. And about a year later, this song called Down in Soho came out of me, where I'm writing about this character who's like homeless and is living in London. I couldn't say down in Leicester Square because it didn't roll off the tongue very well, but down in Soho seemed like a pretty good idea. And these songs are quite interesting. I wasn't a great musician. I'm not a great musician now. I was limited, I think, musically in what I could do in some of these songs. But as a musician, I could see that I was learning a lot more, listening to a lot more music, and the songwriting was starting to evolve and become more interesting over the songs. So I'm looking back at these songs, I'm thinking I'm actually quite proud of them, and it's a shame that I didn't record them properly, but I'm now in a position where I think I can record them properly because I have the technology, number one. I've got really great technology. The Tascam Model 12, even as a standalone recorder, is fantastic. The song Demon in Your Closet that I recorded a few weeks ago came out really nicely. Even Ripped Apart, which was the first song I wrote, I recorded it on the Boss BR8 because I wanted to prove to myself that I actually could make a good recording on that machine that wouldn't sound like the recordings that are on the CDs in this folder. And it did, it came out quite well. And I've had some really positive feedback and comments. And if you're watching this video, please go and check out those videos because I'd love you to see them, to see what you think of the songs. But looking through the folder, having had the experience of revisiting some of these songs, originally just to make video ideas, to be honest, has ignited something in me that's made me want to revisit the songs and maybe record an accurate record of how I originally imagined that they would sound. And I think I now have the know-how. I have the gear as well, but I also have a lot of know-how about recording. I've learned so much about arrangement, recording, technique on my instruments over the last 20 years. I think I can now produce much better songs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and record probably 5 or 6 of these songs for either a short album or an EP that I'm then going to put out on Spotify and Bandcamp and the various social media platforms. And I'm going to invite you to come along because I'm going to try and blog the recording process of some of these songs. So I've already recorded 2 of them. on my doorless recording videos. Demon in Your Closet was written, but I recorded that song first on the Tascam Model 12, and I thought it came out really nicely. I was so happy with the result. And I even had somebody in the comments compare me to George Harrison, which is such a huge compliment. I don't know how serious that was, but it's a lovely thing to have said. And I also got, I think I got, somebody had compared me to Murray McLaughlin, who I'd never heard of. And as soon as I was compared to this guy, I went and checked him out. And I thought, I can probably maybe hear that actually. But yeah, so I'm just really thrilled with the comments and the positive feedback that I've had from those videos. So I'm sort of looking forward to now tracking a few more of these songs, and I'd like you to come along with me over the next few weeks. I'm going to try and post a video every Sunday where I effectively release a new... Well, no, I'm not going to release it. I effectively show you how I track a song in some way on the video, on the Sunday video. And then when all the songs are tracked and I can then sequence them, I'm going to release them one song a week on Spotify and all those platforms, Apple Music, until the whole album is released. So one song a week until the whole album is released. And I'm going to invite you guys along for the journey. It would be fantastic if you could follow me every Sunday. Please comment, please subscribe, please like the videos, or dislike them if you hate them. Any feedback is good feedback. But I'm really grateful to everybody who has taken time to watch the videos the last few weeks, because it's given me the confidence and the idea, I suppose, to revisit some of the material in this folder and to present some of it both as a record to myself and as a record on YouTube for anybody who might be interested to come and have a look at. So I look forward to seeing you over the next few weeks. Please come along with me and let's make some music.